Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today we are going to be taking on Inferno 3 of this meta's beatdown battle against the summer units. And first off, before we start anything, I want to give a big shout out to your pal Drewski for reminding me that I have Audacity. And Audacity has a nice built-in feature to remove background noise. So hopefully this video doesn't have quite as much AC hum as my previous videos did. But if it does, let me know. And if it doesn't, then also let me know, because then I know it works, and then we can continue using it. But thank you, your pal Drewski, for giving me that handy tip, and I shall continue using it if it does actually work. But back to the actual video. This beatdown battle is going to be more a deal breaker than some others, because other times we could just cheese it with stunning with Guy and resetting and then just going like 20 something turns. You don't really have that option here. They have a decent amount of HP. It's not millions, but it's enough to where you need a few different things to work. And they have a lot of defense. They are really, really tanky, and that makes things not great for a lot of players. And then we have Shuna healing everybody. We have Xion giving herself that massive attack buff on turn 5. So if you can't kill at turn 5, your run is over, because Rimuru is going to AoE you, Xion is going to buff herself and then AoE you, and then Shuna is going to hit you again and then heal everybody, and everyone's dead. So there is no easy way to cheese this stage. So I know the meta team can do it as it stands right now, because we do a lot of damage. And maybe there's one other team. But options are really limited, so a lot of people are going to be gate kept out of the Inferno stages. It's unfortunate, but at least you're not held back from the Romerus dupes, because you only get the Omni Accords and then the Moat, which, you know, for a lot of people, especially new players, the Moat means absolutely nothing because you have no units at level 100. The Omni Accords mean nothing because you don't have any units at level 100 that can actually get skill fusions. So you're not really missing out on anything minus the currency and a few crystals here and there from actually beating it. But this is the first team we're going to bring in. It's what I've been using for the past, couple runs, and it's worked so far. So we've got the new trainee, we've got Light Shuna to take out that RNG on turn 2, Guy for the orb changing and alt buffing and the guaranteed crits for our Milim. Violet is here for the orb changing and her crit damage and alt resistance down. Shizu is here because she's hot and she's got the she's got the efficient skill and the ult swap, and then Milim is our DPS. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive in. Alright, so we have skipped ahead to turn 2, because turn 1 is just the same thing. It's orb change with Guy, swap in Shizu for Shuna, and send the 6 across the entire team. RNG only really happens on turn 2, so that's what's important, that's what we need to see. And we have 4 orbs of Shizu, which is good, and we have only 1 nerfed green, so we're going to bring in Shuna for Shizu. We're going to steal all of these orbs, and then we're going to use Trainee after we bring in Milim. So that way we have 6 Milims. This should get us an alt gauge for her next turn, and this will lower their defense a bit, which means we'll hit just a little bit harder right here, but it will more importantly make sure that all the orbs coming in next turn will be blue, so we can steal all of them next turn. Yes, perfect. That's what I want to see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we got some guards in there. And then 6 does 20... Oh, no, he guarded that one too. Okay. Alright, so there's an entire hand of blues. Awesome. We have a Milim ult. Not going to matter because we're going to swap them out. So, Violet, you're going to go away, because I don't need your skill sealed at all. And then we're going to use Shizu to swap that ult. And then we're going to hold here, right? We could... Theoretically, we could use the buff from Shizu and Milim now, because we would get an EX ult right here. Yeah. So we could do that. Like, we could do this, the Dark Attack, and then we could use Trainee, and then we can use the weakness buff, And since they both last for 2 turns, we'll have it active now, and we'll have it again next turn when we can send Milim away and hold on to the buff, and then bring it in on turn 5 when we have enough points to do the full nuke with Guy and Violet's skills. So now we're doing 23k, awesome, excellent damage, and then this does 48k. And there, another full hand of blues. We don't even need to orb change next turn, because when we swap Milim out, this is going to be a blue orb anyways, so perfect. So let's do this. Let's swap Milim out. Like I said, she has both the attack and the dark attack and the weakness buff still active. We can see that right here, so we don't need to worry about anything. We'll bring Shuna in because I don't really care about her orbs, but she does have full blues. Let's use Trainee to get to max points, because sending 6 blues will get us another gauge of Trainee and this will get us max points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so next turn, we can do a full nuke with, not Violet, with Milim. And we can be safe and not having any of our skills sealed that are important. And, ooh, okay, well, that actually could have been a much better hand, because I would want a little bit extra follow-up, not from Guy, but it is what it is. So we'll bring you in for Shuna. At least she has an orb. That's the important part, right? So here's that. We will use Guy's alt buff down to 20 points, and then we'll swap Shizu out. Yeah, we'll swap Shizu out, and then we'll use double Trainee to get 100 points, or back up to 100 points, and then we have enough to use Violet's debuff and buff for Milim, and then we will nuke, and this should kill. Should be in the keyword. This is the first time doing Inferno 3, so we've done like 700,000k in the past, and they have 559. So yeah, I think we'll be okay. And then we'll send whatever's left as follow-up. It won't do much, but it'll do something. And we'll watch Milim completely annihilate these guys. And then, you know, the first turn clear will be good. We still have a lot of missions to do. The 2 4-star units might be a little rough. Might be a little rough. And we do 728,000, and there we go. Turn 5, full-on wipe. And yeah, we did over 2 million damage. I like that. I like that a lot. I like doing 2 million damage in 5 turns. So there is the first main meta team. I have seen a lot of people, a lot of the tryhards swap out Shuna for Dark Diablo, who has his skill fusion, which lowers dark resistance by 50%, which Milim is dark, so that would increase our damage a lot. Because Shuna, outside of turn 2, is not doing jack crap for us. So if you can get some good RNG, then you can make it work. But, you know, I'll try it out at a different time. Maybe when we have the full meta, we'll see how it looks. But let's see if there's another team that can do this. Alright, so we have a second team that can get it done. However, with the caveat that you need the entire meta, you need probably at least a few dupes, you need some good supports, and you need some Jubilee tryhard level RNG for this to work out. So, we are running the 1.5 anniversary Warriors Mind team in its entirety, except for, instead of the free-to-play Dark Xian, we are bringing the EX Fount Wisdom Rimuru. So, Velzard will be stacking up the attack on both our AoE units in the back, Violet and Valentine. Those are our primary nukers here. We have Guy underneath her because he is buffing space and physical, which both of them are. We have the protection gauge on Blue Charm right now on Velzard because I want as much protection stacks as physically possible. And then we have Rimuru for orb changing and his orange buff. We have Guy for his orb changing, alt buff, crit damage. We have EX Rimuru to help rush the EX alt for at least Valentine. Or Violet. Honestly, whoever is higher for you, they get the EX alt. And then we have Violet and Valentine. Valentine, her attack buff, not important here. Rimuru's attack buff is important. Because her full power doesn't happen until turn 8, and you don't have turn 8. So, you can sacrifice her attack buff because it gets sealed on turn 5. As long as you have Rimurus in the back, you'll be okay. If you can use her extra protection gauge skill, then by all means go ahead, but I was not able to in this run, but I was still able to clear it. And then Violet needs at least an ult, right? At least an ult. But Valentine needs the EX ult. So let's go ahead and start this up. Now this took me about 2 hours to do because it's the turn 2 RNG that you really need to work with and then it's the turn 4 RNG, because you need to have specific units in the specific places to ensure that you can use all of your buffs. So, it can be a little time consuming and a little bit of a hassle, but if it works, it works. So, turn 1, we've got Guy to do the orb change, and then we're going to bring in Violet and Valentine. Now, you saw that I don't have very optimal supports underneath Valentine and Violet because I don't have Earth Rimuru's trait, so I needed to bring in units that could give us protection gauge on turn 2 in order to get 2 guaranteed stacks of Velzard on turn 2. That is important. Remember, we need stacks because we need points and we need damage. So putting a little bit extra attack underneath them is not nearly as important as getting multiple stacks of Velzard. So here, turn 2, this is where RNG can fail you. We got a good hand right here. We have 2 stacks of Velzard, so we're going to use them here on our primary nukers. Guy, inconsequential, does not matter. I actually don't want anybody else's ult except Valentine and Violet. And we're going to spread the damage. Of course, Guy is 120, so he does the most, so we send him last. But what really, what can really screw you over for this particular team is that if your units on turn 3, on turn 4 are not set up correctly in the front and in the back, you are going to lose one of the big time buffs, and you need everything except for Valentine's buff. Because Valentine's buff is inferior to Rimuru's up until turn 8, and like I said, you don't have till turn 8. So Rimuru's buff takes priority. So here, we have Rimuru, or Water Rimuru in here, so we can use his orb change, but we also need to start rushing the ults on Violet and Valentine. Violet, more importantly right now, because she needs an ult now, and then she needs to go away, because turn 4 and turn 5, they seal defense skills, and her buff is a defense skill. So she needs to get an ult, and she needs to go. So here, it's not quite enough to get her an ult, but we can still put her in the back, and bring her in next turn, and ensure that we can use Rimuru's ult rush skill again, and get her some extra gauge, therefore getting her an ult, and then sending her away. On the perfect run, on turn 4 going into turn 5, when you're ready to nuke, you will have Valentine, Guy, and Earth Rimuru up front, because you don't want Water Rimuru's skill sealed, and you don't want Violet's skill sealed. So here, we got some good orbs for Valentine. We got a lot of points back. We got 2 stacks of Velzard, so we're looking really, really good, and the unit placement is looking sublime, because we still have to bring Violet in to get that extra ult gauge from Earth Rimuru. This is the important turn right here. The defense skills are sealed now, so we can't have Violet hang around any longer than she has to, but she also needs those 2 extra stacks, and we have not a lot of blue orbs. So we're going to use Rimuru to swap the ult for blue, so then we can continue sending, because we have 4 orbs for Valentine now, which is good, because once we use that and Earth Rimuru's ult rush ability, it'll be just fine. So here, we're going to swap Violet for Water Rimuru, because we can use her steel to change that 1 green, and then we can use Guy to change those 3 orbs. We can then use the ult rush ability to give Violet the ult, and technically Valentine her EX ult. Unfortunately, we don't have enough points to use the extra protection gauge skill on Valentine, which is okay, obviously, because we beat it. We're just 1 stack shy, 12% attack, we can miss out on it. We need the points, though, to actually use full buffs. So we use the 2 stacks of Valentine, now we're going to use Rimuru, 70% ult gauge, that gets us Valentine's EX ult. Violet has an ult, she needs to go away now, and we're going to bring Guy in. And then that is the optimum setup you need from turn 4 going to turn 5 to make sure that none of your major buffs are sealed. So, it took a while to get here. Sometimes it didn't have enough points. Sometimes it didn't have an EX ult. It's important that you get an EX ult. For someone. For either Valentine or Violet. You need it. Unquestionably. So we're still spreading damage, because look how much damage we haven't done to them, right? They have 650k-ish HP. They have really high defense. They don't take a lot of damage from normals, okay? We need to have big time ult. We need to have full buffs on our 2 AoE nukers. So here, we have 3 ults, which is fine. Nobody is sealed except for Valentine right there. But again, because her skill is not as good as Fount of Wisdom Rimuru's, that's okay. That's why we left Valentine up front. So we can get her EX ult, and because we can seal her skill and not feel too bad about it. So now we're going to swap Violet for EX Rimuru, Earth Rimuru, and then we'll use Gaia's ult buff to give them both crit. As soon as I decide to switch it, because I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure I don't mess this up here. So let's use the Gaia buff, let's use Violet's buff. We also don't have enough points to use the Valentine skill here either. It's okay though, we can go without it. So, ult buff, crit rate, crit damage, ult resistance down, and then we'll bring in Water Rimuru, and we'll use his physical buff, 60%, and then the 20% physical resistance down, and that will be major, major damage, but we have to make sure we swap Guy out and not one of the others. So, physical buff, and then we still have enough points to use his orb change, which can help, I guess, because we'll have 3 Valentine orbs, just in case we need the follow-up. So, it's cool, whatever. But, Violet ult, Valentine EX ult, 3 orbs follow-up, and Violet does 205, and then Valentine does 460k, which is enough to kill right there. So, it does take a while. It needs a full meta. But we are able to get it done, and that is the important part. This team is also all physical, so there's a mission done, and you can send full hands of blues, which is another mission done, and everybody's alive, and we cleared it in 8 turns or fewer, and yeah, that's the only team, those are the only 2 teams that I've found that can reliably clear it, and like this team is not what I would call overly reliable. But the first team with the meta, there are substitutions you can do. This team though, there are no substitutions. If you have everybody but EX Rimuru, I'm pretty sure you're shit out of luck. You need EX Rimuru to be able to force both Violet and Valentine's ults, because maybe you think, well, I have Aqua, right? She can give us 40% ult gauge. Yeah, that's true, for one character. Of which, none of my nukers on this team have a higher attack stat than Guy. So then we have to make sure Guy's not up front when we use it, and that's another headache on top of it. And it's only giving it to one unit, not both, and we need both of them to have ults. So, that is the 2 teams that I have currently that can clear Inferno 3. If you don't have them, don't feel bad. If you're a new player, you're not really missing out on anything, because the rewards you get from it, minus like the couple crystals you get, you can't even use, because your units have to be level 100 to use the moat, your units have to be level 100 to use the Omni Accords, so you're not truly missing anything. But that's it for me, guys. Let me know what you guys think. If you have found a majorly different team that can clear this, let me know in the comments, and I for sure as hell will attempt it. But I tried a couple other teams, magic teams, no bueno. You don't do enough damage regardless. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.